Another Friday here on Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, we'll be breaking down your Christmas and New Year's weather forecast, as well as looking ahead to what's to come into January in today's weather forecast. If you are new to the channel and not yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below for detailed weather breakdowns across North America. We talk about Canada, we talk about the United States, and even the tropics on this channel. Also, be sure to press the thumbs up button down below. It helps to get more of this information passed along to more and more people. Looking at the weather conditions out the door this morning, we got some wet weather across the Mississippi Valley there. If you're stepping out the door in southeast Iowa, northern Missouri, western Illinois, and then down here into parts of the Mid-South, could be getting a little wet today, so make sure to bring an umbrella with you. We also have our main major storm system continuing to bring heavier rains across Southern California and Arizona as we go through this morning, and another piece of energy moving across the Pacific Northwest. Heavier snows for British Columbia there, the Vancouver region. Also some heavier rains from Seattle down toward Portland as we go into this morning. Looking at our low temperatures, waking up this morning, heading out the door, we are seeing another mild start to the day across the middle of the country. Temperatures at 45 degrees there in Des Moines, 51 into Kansas City, and 54 in the Oklahoma City area. Very nice mild start to the day in the middle of the country. And looking at these temperatures this morning, the anomalies from normal, we're up to 25, even closing in on 30 degrees above normal for this time of year to start the day. So definitely a good start to your day. And our high temperatures arriving into the afternoon will be into the 50s all the way up here into South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, the 40-degree line, again approaching the Minneapolis-St. Paul vicinity, Green Bay, even the Detroit region reaching into the 40s as we go into this afternoon. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. Looking at the past 3 days, with our rainfall out west here, our major storm is moving into Southern California and Arizona. And over the past 3 days, did supply us with some very heavy rains, especially up here into coastal California and northern California, seeing definitely some 6 to 8 inch amounts of rain here, even some areas higher than that across these regions. So definitely watching out for some flooding. But it has also produced some decent snows across the Sierra Nevada mountains here in California, over a foot of snow in a couple of these areas and the highest of elevations in California. So definitely seeing some supply of the snowpack across these regions over the past 3 days. So let's track that main parent storm system across Southern California and Arizona. You can see with the blue anomalies here, that's where the low pressure is. The red and orange anomalies, that is where high pressure is. And you can see that is across southeastern Canada. So our main storm system down here across the Pacific Southwest will be moving into the Rockies and into the southern plains as we go into this weekend, Saturday the 23rd into Christmas Eve on Sunday, December 24th. And what that means is some inclement weather is likely across the middle of the country. So let's walk you through this every step of the way through the next 3 days. You can see today, wet weather across portions of the Midwest, including the Chicagoland area, Davenport, Quad Cities region, all the way down towards St. Louis, parts of the Little Rock region, possibly getting some isolated to scattered showers through the day today with a little piece of energy up in the Midwest. We are also keeping an eye on our parent storm system down across portions of the Pacific Southwest. So the Phoenix region, getting into San Diego, Los Angeles, we're going to see more opportunities for some heavier rain down across this region today. That system will then move into the Colorado Rockies as a 1,002 millibar low, a weak low at this point, but definitely producing some heavier snows in those higher elevations outside of Denver, outside of the Salt Lake City area, and then all the way up into portions of Montana and possibly as far south as Arizona, New Mexico, seeing the heavier snows on Saturday. We have a little bit of rain from the Amarillo region down to Midland, Lubbock, Texas as we go into Saturday afternoon, and then the system ejects across the Central Plains into southeastern Nebraska with the center of that low pressure. A little bit of cold air on the backside, could be seeing some snowfall on Christmas Eve for the Dakotas back into northwestern Nebraska. Alaska. Probably not that big of a deal, but definitely to keep an eye on for holiday travel. Otherwise, all rain from Minnesota, Iowa, all the way south there into Texas and the Gulf Coast. We will be watching out for some isolated strong thunderstorms to develop from Oklahoma down into East Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana as we go into Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve night. Damaging winds and large hail would be the main risk there on Sunday. Otherwise, this will be a heavy rainfall producer. Rainfall accumulation in inches from now through Christmas Day on Monday, the 25th. You can see where the heaviest of rains will be from Minnesota down through Iowa here, the Missouri Valley, and then getting in toward the southern plains and the Gulf Coast regions here. In the orange and the reds, we could be seeing potentially some 1 to 3 inches of rain. This covers the Kansas City region, Tulsa, getting down into the Oklahoma City vicinity, and also the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as we go through that Christmas Day time frame. We are going to be watching out for some flash flooding along the way. So watching out for flooding today into Saturday, the 23rd, across Southern California, the San Diego region, and then eastward into south central Arizona, including the Phoenix area proper. We could be seeing a slight risk of flash flooding there, so watch out for flooding on the roadways and also the creeks, streams, and ditches out there. And then as we go into Saturday, Sunday time frame for Christmas Eve, that marginal risk for flash flooding covers the Red River vicinity from south central Oklahoma there, getting into the Dallas-Fort Worth area there into north and eastern Texas, all the way down toward Houston, Corpus Christi, potentially just north of there, could be seeing some isolated flash flooding. Also, on the backside, remember I didn't say that this was going to be that big of a deal because it's not going to be. Not really going to be that big of a snow producer, but we could see some snowfall accumulate up here, northwestern Minnesota through the Dakotas, getting back into the Colorado Rockies, Wyoming, northern New Mexico, a few inches of snow to shovel potentially across this region. It definitely will be the heavy wet snow, so it will be tough to shovel across those regions through Christmas Day. Now let's look at our temperatures because it's going to be one of the warmest Christmas Eves and Christmas days across the eastern 2/3 of the country that we have seen in quite a few years. Here are your high temperatures on Sunday, Christmas Eve across the east. We're well into the 50s, folks. I mean, it's going to be 50 degrees as far north as Minneapolis, St. Paul. 55 in Des Moines, 51 in Chicago along the lakefront even, and then 60 down here into St. Louis, 64 on Christmas Eve in Dallas-Fort Worth. And then as we go into your Sunday Christmas Eve night time frame, notice the temperatures. They don't cool off too much. That means a major storm system is moving in the warm sector all the way up into the Great Lakes. We're only going to be cooling down into the low 50s across the Illinois Valley, the Midwest, and all the way down to the south. We may not be getting below 60 in Jackson, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, the Montgomery region in Alabama, or even into the Florida Panhandle for lows on Christmas Eve night. You can see the cold air further west across the Rockies and southwestern Canada. Definitely seeing some colder air with the new snowpack in some of those areas on Christmas Eve night. But just look at these stats, folks. Our temperature anomalies on Sunday, Christmas Eve night, yes, the nighttime hours, will be 30 degrees above normal for this time of year. That is astonishing to say the least. And if that's not enough, Christmas Day, we're back into the 50s again across the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and the Ohio Valley, and much of the eastern U.S. So definitely one of the warmest Christmas days we have seen in quite some time. And just looking at our opportunities for a white Christmas, if you're hoping for a white Christmas this year, here is your Monday morning Christmas Day on the 25th time frame. Here is the snow depth in inches and what you're going to see on the ground. There may be a dusting up to an inch of snow for interior New England, but areas east of the Rockies, besides the Dakotas here, that could get a couple inches on Christmas Day. Besides that, we're not going to really see a lot of snow, if any, on the ground well east of the Rockies, and that is because of those very warm temperatures. You can't really have snow with temperatures in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's just not going to happen. And then as we go into early next week, there's our major storm system up in the Midwest there with the trailing cold front. And then you see the building heights over the top with the high pressure into Canada. And then you see that late next week as that trough moves into the eastern U.S., that ridge over Canada really starts to amplify all the way up into northern Canada later next week. So that means we're going to be seeing a lot of warm temperatures. So here's the storm track as we go into Monday, Christmas Day. Very rainy, very wet conditions. This is all liquid across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Southeast. Not a lick of snow out here. It is all liquid precipitation. As we go into Tuesday, a few snow flurries or a rain-snow mix on the backside potentially for northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, back into western Iowa, and perhaps portions of eastern Nebraska. This will not add up to much of anything at all, but we could be seeing some snowflakes flying around the day after Christmas on Tuesday the 26th. Otherwise, rain across the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, including the Carolina coast there on Tuesday. That storm moves up into southeastern Canada with some snow. Again, very narrow band of snow for Ontario and Quebec. All rain for the Northeast, including the I-95 corridor on Wednesday. Thursday, we're seeing the backwash moisture moving into the Great Lakes region. We could have a mix of rain and snow in some areas there Thursday and on Friday as some of that cold air moves in. But the problem is the moisture will be lagging on the backside, so whatever snow we get won't be around long if we even get enough at all. So that is going to be the issue with this system. So looking at the rainfall accumulation in inches for next week from Monday, Christmas Day, all the way through Friday, you can see the heaviest of the rains will be setting up from the upper Midwest down across the Mississippi Valley on east, across the eastern two-thirds of the country, drying out across the Intermountain West here, including the Rockies, as we go through next week. And looking at this with the U.S. Drought Monitor here, we do need the rain desperately, especially across the Midwest, the southern plains, getting into the Dixie Alley region. Desperately, we have the severe, extreme, and exceptional drought, and we will be chipping away at this in earnest as we go deeper into December here and even into early January. And then looking at the snowfall accumulation next week, again, Monday, Christmas Day through Friday, a few inches of snow will be possible. Don't take these amounts verbatim because they probably are too high here, especially with the lack of cold air, but definitely the potential of some snow shoveling across the upper Midwest if we do see enough snowfall on the backside of the system. Otherwise, it will be mostly rain. Now, as we turn into early January, we're going to start to shift this pattern around just a little bit. It will take some time. You can see the 500 millibar height anomaly. Again, the blue showing the lowering of the pressure and the orange and red showing the higher pressure. Notice we have high pressure out west. We have the lower pressure with the troughs further across the eastern two-thirds of the country into early January. So what this means is for your temperatures, with high pressure comes drier air and also comes milder air. So Canada, much of the west, and the northern tier of the United States will be well above normal with their temperatures in early January. And with the trough out east, that means cooler or at least near normal temperatures for the East Coast and especially down here in the Southeast, including Florida, during that first week there into early January. So giving you an idea of that, here is your low temperatures for Sunday, New Year's Eve night. If you have any New Year's Eve plans out there ringing in the new year on 2024, here are your potential low temperatures there. Not too shabby. Notice the Arctic air well to the north. We're still hanging on to the mild air across the south central states. And then as we go into Monday, New Year's Day, as we ring in 2024, on January 1st, another strong storm system potentially moving in across the south, bringing more warm air and a deep warm sector with it, with 40s all the way up into the Midwest and into the Ohio Valley there for New Year's Day. And just to give you some context of this, we're going to be above normal as we go into New Year's Day across the plains, across the Midwest, and into southern Canada, with the opposite side of the country on either coast, the West Coast or the Southeast Coast, seeing the below normal temperatures as we go into New Year's Day. Now let's look at the precipitation before we end today's video. For early January, you can see the southern United States will be in line for the storm track as we have more of that Pacific jet stream, or what you call the subtropical jet, across the south. You can see that pumping in the moisture here for the West Coast, but also the southeastern United States, but not so much the northern U.S. So putting it all together here, the potential storm track, the primary storm track will be this blue line here with the low pressure going further to the south. And then the secondary storm track, if we can pick up enough moisture, we can move a stronger low pressure system up into the Ohio Valley. This would be your best bet for some heavier snow into early January across the upper Midwest if it takes more of that secondary track. We'll keep an eye on that. Looking at our total accumulated precipitation here for early January, notice where we don't have the rain and notice where we do have the rain. You can see across the west, very wet there from California, Oregon into Washington, and same could be said up there into British Columbia, Canada as well. And then that lingers east into the Rockies. It breaks up across the Midwest and the northern high plains. The active jet stream is well to the south, so it'll be tough to get moisture that far north. And then as we get toward the Gulf Coast and the southeast coast, that is where we have the active weather again and above normal precipitation. So here's your precipitation outlook for early January. The green is above normal, the white is near normal, and the yellow is below normal. And notice where that is further to the north as we go into early January. And the snowfall. The snowfall depth into early January will also be lagging with the cold air, again, lagging into early January. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, like the video, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their week out there.